Why don't we go ahead and get started since we're recording this and we can share this out with folks later. I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen to say hello to folks. Thanks again for joining us this afternoon. We're excited to have Berkeley Community Scholars with us today. Just for those who don't know me, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jen Tang, and I am the Director of Community Relations here at Berkeley Lab. And for those of you who are joining us this afternoon for a special Community Connections lunch hour session, I want to note that we are recording this, and it'll be available later for those who aren't able to join us live. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, let me tell you a little bit about the Community Connections Lunch Hour, which is hosted by Berkeley Lab's Government and Community Relations Office. Our goal for this session is to provide opportunities for lab employees like you to learn more about how you can be an ambassador for the lab by participating in and supporting outreach activities in our surrounding communities. These sessions feature community partners and are meant to be interactive, so those tuning in will have an opportunity to ask questions and interact with our guests. And today we are delighted to feature one of our longstanding community partners, Berkeley Community Scholars. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our guests today. We have Executive Director Sherry Smith and Operations and Program Manager Savannah Hudson. So thank you both for joining us. We're also joined by Alicia Wood Charlson, and Alicia is the K-Base User Engagement Lead in the Biosciences area, and she's also currently mentoring a BCS scholar. And after the presentation from Sherry and Savannah, Alicia will share a little bit about her experience as a mentor. So Sherry and Savannah, we are delighted to have you, and I'm going to hand the floor over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Jen. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes, it looks great.
All right, thank you. So once again, my name is Savannah, and I'll be introducing Berkeley Community Scholars. I'll be discussing our agenda today, basically telling you who we are, our program's approach, our mentor program, and other ways to get involved. All right. So since 2008, our vision has been a more equitable future in which our scholars who embody diversity, spirit, and values of our community achieve our aspirations and become more economically secure. We predominantly work with Berkeley High School seniors and students from Berkeley Community College, offering 4-year and 2-year scholarship programs. In addition to the scholarship programs, students receive mentoring support as well as additional funds if needed, such as our emergency line or our finish line funds. Our mission is to bridge the opportunity and divide for Berkeley youth by providing scholarships, connections, and other support instrumental in the success of college and beyond. We recently just explored our career opportunity path with Level Up, which is in its 3rd iteration and will be continuing on this summer, which will give students the opportunity to be in real-time places to get interview skills, resume writing, and overall support in job placement. So Sherry Smith, our executive director, will introduce our team.
Great, thanks, Savannah. So I've been with the organization since July of 2019. I was came on board. Lynn Walker's been with us for almost 8 years. She's our college success manager. Terrence Powell and Colleen Sparks are our other 2 college advisors. So the 3 of them support 127 current college students. And then Savannah, as you just met, is both our program associate and our operations manager. So that's our small and mighty team that does all the different things that we're going to tell you about in terms of our organization. So the thing that, if you remember nothing else today, I shouldn't say that, there should be lots of things that you remember, but really one of our taglines is 2 paths, 1 goal. We started allowing students to be in our program from the community college program in 2017 and came up with this idea and strategy because we wanted students to start wherever it was the most important and convenient and possible for them to start their journey towards a bachelor's degree. And so our community college students, again, spend 2 or 3 years at community college, and then we support them through the transfer process and stay with them until they get a degree. The bachelor's degree students start straight into a bachelor's degree program from high school. And again, we stay with them. Some of our students will go back and forth between bachelor's degree institutions and community colleges. But again, either way is a fine pathway to choose. So our program works with a 4-tiered approach. So we've got these elements that actually help our students, we think, cross the finish line. So they get a college success advisor. So that's someone who stays with them through the whole time. They are a paid staff member of ours. Like I said, we have those 3 that I just showed you. We offer community mentors. And so that is really what we're going to be talking about today. So people in our community who are working, who are retired, who walk alongside of our scholars during their college journey. Students really rely on these folks for kind of common sense, experiences that they and their families have not had before, advice. Sometimes I call them muses, but again, they fit a variety of important roles for our students. Our career readiness program, which Savannah just mentioned, we started 2 summers ago. And again, we're doing our 3rd pilot of that. We're doing a 4-year pilot. What we recognized that students were graduating from college at fantastic rates, but they weren't going into careers and jobs of their choice because they didn't really have the tools or the awareness of what they needed in order to enter the field of their choice. So we have a series of 8 workshops and other supports that we do to make sure that our students, when they graduate college, are ready to enter the workforce. And then the one that most people in our community know about, don't really know the other things about us, but we do offer an up to $16,000 scholarship for our students to make sure that funding and their finances is not the reason that stops them from going to college. So I think this is really important. I wish this would be something that would be in the news often, and I think maybe it would cause some change. But right now, again, the students that we work with are students that have 3 criteria. They're living in the lowest economic quartile. And you can imagine what that feels like in the Bay Area in particular. They are first in their generation and their families to go to college. They might have a cousin or maybe a sibling that's working their way through, but nobody above them generationally has a college degree. And then they're also underrepresented in terms of folks who have college degrees in this country. And so again, the students that sort of fit that category are graduating at 13%. I think it's grown to almost 15%, but again, it's growing very slowly. The national numbers for students who live in the highest economic quartile, as you can see, is 62%. And we're proud to say that BCS graduation rates are 73%. And so again, it's for us, it's more than the money. It's the 4-tiered approach, having a mentor, having an advisor, and really getting them set for their careers is really what sets us apart from many different other organizations. Just gave you a snapshot of just the students that we are serving by ethnicity. You can see most of our students are African-American, Hispanic, or Latinx. And then we've got Southeast and Southwest Asian, and then multiracial is really the students that we work with.
Okay, who we serve. So like Sherry mentioned, we serve students who are in the lowest economic quartile of Berkeley in the Bay Area. We serve first-gen students, and we serve students who are a part of underrepresented groups heading towards higher education. Our students are great. I've been working with them for 2 years, and I can just say that they're amazing at some of the things that they do. And when it comes to BCS mentors, we have mentors. We just actually had our mentor appreciation at the Gather. And so basically a mentor will work with the student for up to 2 years. And as you can see here from our pictures, our mentors meet together and they have relationships that, go beyond just, the common mentor relationship for BCS. They develop friendships, and they become like family, a part of the BCS community. So our mentoring program provides like a sustained community-based network of personal support, information, and resources to BCS High Hope scholars and their families to help each student complete college successfully and increase their future opportunity. By matching students with a mentor who has gone to college and understands the challenges of navigating college, we provide a missing piece on these students' paths to success. They connect with you, they're able to ask you questions that maybe they can't go to their family with. So it's essential in the college process and a part of growing in general. So here I will show you actually an example of a great mentor relationship that we have. And after this video, I will introduce Alicia Wood Charlton, who is actually a current mentor with BCS.
I think the thing that most excited me about BCS is the fact that they not only provide financial support to first generation college students, but they also provide a mentoring component. And that to me seemed like a winning combination.
Good. I just finished my internship.
Oh, congratulations.
I know. Thank
How do you feel?
Bittersweet moment.
You know, there's a ton of research about the impact of quality mentoring on young people in their personal and professional and academic lives. Remember when we were applying?
I know.
No, you totally did it. Being a mentor can feel a little bit intimidating. Sort of, what do I bring to the table? And can I really do this? And do I know how to do this? And I would encourage folks to think about, if they're feeling that way as an adult, to think about how young people feel all the time when they're facing new situations.
Like, you've shown me that I have to communicate with everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to hire people right now too. And I really appreciate when people communicate with us about what they can and can't take on, and, you know, just so we can set everyone up for success.
Yeah, exactly.
She and I really have so much in common, which might seem strange. You know, I'm a middle-aged white lady. You know, she's part Peruvian, part Honduran, but we share a lot of personality traits. We're both very entrepreneurial. Alex has her own small business that she's been running since she was in high school.
I remember like we applied to 2 on-campus jobs and they both rejected me, but I talked to you about it and you told me like, oh, if it's not this one, like, you know, it's just part of the journey and like you just have to continue to apply.
When you got rejected, do you remember you reached out and you asked them for feedback?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they gave you really good feedback, and then you took that feedback and you used it, and then you were successful the next time.
I was offered a job on campus, working at the Chicana Latinx Student Success Center.
Okay, they're super cute. We look adorable. Also, I benefit from her perspective and her experience. It's at the point where she calls me her tia, which is like the biggest compliment, you know, she could possibly pay me. We all need help. We all need people to show up for us.
All right, thank you so much for watching our video. So now I will introduce Alicia. Thank you for being here. And if you could just talk about your experience being a BCS mentor, that would be awesome.
Sure. Thanks for the invitation. I think I'll talk a little bit about what makes BCS different. So there's oftentimes mentoring opportunities, especially through the lab, but they tend to be sort of shorter and kind of more focused. So for example, we have an internal one in our biosciences area where you get paired with somebody for a year. I've done mentoring programs where you have, you know, a summer field course. You kind of are paired up with students for an activity-based thing that runs for maybe a month or two. The thing I thought was really interesting about BCS is you actually get paired with somebody for 4 years for their full college experience. And that was really intriguing and also mildly terrifying, just because I think, you know, it's a long commitment to make. And that relationship is you're never quite sure how it's going to go. So I've gone through this once. I got paired with a young woman who had just finished college right when the pandemic hit, right? So she didn't get to go through her high school graduation, and she did her first 2 years of university from home. And finally, she's in her junior year now and was able to actually go and move to the university that she's attending and actually be a college student. And so there was a lot of interesting things that she had to go through that I didn't know how to necessarily navigate. So there were some concerns that I wasn't necessarily going to be able to help her or support her because I didn't have to go through college, the first years of college during a pandemic. So it kind of was an interesting experience, I think, for both of us in that. But BCS did a really great job of providing sort of peer-to-peer mentor opportunities to talk through things. The counselors are always available. If I had an issue, she's not responding, or check with on something, they would always touch bases as well. So there's really good support network behind BCS just to kind of make sure that you're not spinning off into some void about what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing this. So we're in our 3rd year right now. Like I said, I think they interview everyone, the students and the mentees, and then they sort of paired us. I'm 5'11", obviously a white woman. She's 5'1", this little tiny cute black girl, and we get along really well. She has a very quirky sense of humor that I find absolutely hilarious, and so I think that's why they paired us together when they did it, and it works really well. We've gone out to lunch a couple of times. Before she was moving up to campus, her mother or sister were too busy working, so they weren't able to take her up there. So I actually picked her up and took her to campus, and we did a campus tour, and I got to see her university and kind of, I wanted her to show up to campus the first day as a junior, not feeling like a freshman. And I think that really brought, kind of reinforced that like her success was something I was really invested in, because I do think that she has some really cool ideas of who she wants to be. It's been fun to see the transition. She, when I first met her, she's very quiet. She still doesn't reach out a ton, but she went through this like month-long process of trying to make a decision on a bicycle to buy. Like, she thinks very deeply about things and decisions before she makes them, and is just very timid about a lot of things. And I just found out a couple of weeks ago that she's doing very well in her courses, and she just got selected for an internship that was highly competitive for next year. So she's really gotten to the point where she's putting herself out there. She's talking to her teachers. She's asking them questions, especially ones that are in her major that she's interested in. She's gotten invited to job shadow next fall with one of her professors. So it's been really cool to see her have more self-confidence and kind of own her college existence in a way that 2 years ago I thought would be hard for her, because she was still a high school student, basically trying to do college from home and hadn't met any of her classmates in real life. So it's been really fun. The commitment level is really kind of between you and the mentee. She's not a phone call person. We've Zoomed a couple of times. I mostly just harass her over text message regularly, and she most of the time, responds back with some sort of semi-snarky emoji when I ask her 1,000 questions and she answers one of them. But that's how she wants to communicate. So it's really like minimal effort on my side. I think at this point, she really just likes to know that somebody cares. And she tells me, when she's got tests coming up, so I make a note of, make sure to check with her on Wednesday on how her test went. And so it's just kind of those incremental reminders of like the life events that she's going through that seem quite small after we finished college, but are big when you're in college, and just having somebody ask, how did it go? So yeah, it's been really fun to sort of see her mature into her own self. I'm mostly just a cheerleader now. She asks me sometimes, like, what do you think of this class schedule? And I'll give her some input based on what I understand. But yeah, I basically just get to play cheerleader and watch her become successful. It's really cool. So I'll stop there. And I don't know if people have questions or want me to talk about anything else. I'm happy to.
Well, fantastic. I just want to say thanks again to Sherry and Savannah for a really engaging presentation. That video, which I've seen a few times, every time makes me like tear up a little bit. It's really inspiring to see. And Alicia, thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your experience as a mentor. It sounds like a really great relationship that you've developed with your mentee. And I think it's really hard to understate how impactful Berkeley Community Scholars work is. So I do want to open it up to questions from folks who are tuning in. And while folks are maybe thinking about questions, I did just want to say that the lab does have a small handful of people who are serving as mentors for Berkeley Community Scholars right now. And, just anecdotally, I've heard from a few of them, and they're having really good experiences. And I want to mention one mentor in particular from our energy technologies area, Scott Young. He wasn't able to join us, but he wanted to share a few thoughts. And he said that, sometimes it's really hard to appreciate the breadth of people's interests who are working in science. And he said that being involved as a mentor with Berkeley Community Scholars has really helped him appreciate that there are a wide variety of students and people with many different interests. And he's having a really good time sort of engaging with his mentee and helping support them through their college experience. So let me actually stop and see if any folks have questions.
Jennifer, and I'm happy to speak in more detail about the application process, the commitment, the expectations.
I think that would, so I see Ellen has turned her camera on, so I'm guessing she's got a question. So why don't we hand things over to you, Ellen? And then Savannah, I think that would actually be great to capture all those things you talked about just for people who want to watch this later. But Ellen, go ahead.
Yeah, that was actually exactly what I wanted to ask, was sort of like, how does the mentor application process work? Like what's the timeline? Because I know, of course, it's going to be over 4, maybe 5 years, however long the student is going through their undergraduate degree. So just curious, how do you become a mentor and like what that process is like?
Sure, no worries. I have a couple of more slides in my presentation, Jennifer, if I could finish sharing the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I can go back into the details. So we do ask our mentors to commit to at least 2 years, but like Alicia, she is with her student for 4 years. So additional years of support are definitely encouraged and supported, but we do ask for a minimum of 2. We do require you to connect with your scholar at least once a month via email, phone, Zoom, and we encourage you to attend our mentor mixers, our mentor appreciation in January next year, and our group outings that are planned by scholars and BCS staff. So one of the challenges that Alicia had mentioned is when the student, is not as responsive. So that is one of the things that you might experience, but once again, they're college students. So you just have to make sure that you have that patience and understand that they're all over the place, but your encouragement is so appreciated. I think my favorite part, Alicia, of your story is when you said how you had driven your mentee up to college, which is such a great interpersonal experience and something that she'll always remember, especially given the pandemic and how students had to navigate that. But once you become interested in becoming a mentor, you will go to our website page and you will go to, how to volunteer. You'll see apply to be a mentor, go through the application process. It's very short and sweet, to the point. And then I will get your application and reach back out to you to set up an interview. The interview will be about an hour with myself and my colleague, Lynn, who is the advisor manager and who pairs mentors and mentees together. So you'll have your application, your interview, reference, and background check, and then we basically put you in our pool of mentors and mentees. And during this time, we welcome in our new applications, our new cohort. So this is like this time where we're planning and mixing things together and getting it ready for you guys to eventually meet and, see what fits. There's also more ways to support our scholars if you're not interested in being a mentor. You can also just volunteer, workshops, panels, career exposures, tutoring, career connections. Like I mentioned, we have Level Up, which is in its 3rd iteration this summer. And we also, when we do our workshop and panels, we provide different topics, academic support, financial literacy. I don't know, Sherry, if you want to elaborate more on this portion.
Sorry, I muted myself. So yeah, if the mentoring piece seems like, you know, a lot to chew on and bite right now, we're always looking for people to volunteer to be on our workshops. And so we do probably somewhere between 7 and 10 a year, and just again, helping students really understand what it means. So how do I choose a major? How do I take care of my money? I don't really have a lot, but you know, what do I do? Tutoring is something that we're trying to also get involved in much more. Our students, it's taking our students 4 to 6 weeks to find a tutor and to get actually a tutoring appointment on campus. So we're trying to find some people in the community that are comfortable in certain academic areas that are willing to meet with students one-on-one or one-on-two and help them actually find success in classes. So that's also another area that, you know, is probably a shorter commitment, you know, for as long as the student's in that class, you know, or just as long as they get over the hurdle of making sure they pass that class. So those are some great opportunities as well. We also, the career and opportunities connection is, you know, again, job shadowing is a great way of like just showing somebody what your job is and what you do day to day. And now that people are back to work for the most part, it's nice to give them those opportunities. We're always looking for internships. So if your department or yourself even would be willing and open to having a student intern with you for a term, that would be really a wonderful way to get involved with, again, showing a student what you do and what it takes to do what you do.
Awesome, fantastic. And thanks, Ellen, for that question. Are there any other folks who have questions for Sherry or for Savannah? And if not, I've actually got a question. I'm hoping you could talk a little bit about, you know, if you don't have a STEM background, are there opportunities to mentor with BCS?
Oh, certainly. I mean, our students major in everything, right? So STEM is sort of what gets talked about a lot in the news and obviously in your industry. But, you know, we've got students who are business majors and art majors and history majors and ethnic studies majors. And so it clearly can be any major that you have or any kind of line of work that you do. We actually, again, welcome that as our students do. We have many students who are actually double majoring. There's a real passion that they have, but then there's this real pull to like, oh, you've got to have this kind of degree to get into the particular workforce. And again, we just help them, this is with Level Up, really think through that process and let them know that, you know, major's important, yes, but also you can do so many different things with different majors. So no, you don't just have to be somebody in the STEM field. You know, Jen, you in communications or community engagement, certainly have people that want to, you know, be involved in nonprofits or people that want to, you know, be involved in communications or writing. Wonderful opportunity for others to share their wisdom and their career experiences.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Sherry. I think sometimes people, you know, when they think about Berkeley Lab, think about all of the wonderful scientists and engineers that we have, and they do incredible work. But to make an institution like Berkeley Lab run, there have to be a number of different people who, you know, are working in different areas. So in addition to, you know, the science fields, we've got, like you said, people in communications, people in government relations, people in legal, people in, you know, operations. And so, you know, for those who might watch this later, I just want to make sure they understand that you don't have to have, you know, a PhD to serve as a mentor for these students. Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions from folks? And I don't want to put you all on the spot, but if people have questions later, hopefully we can circle back with you to get some answers to those. Yeah.
And also I could say thanks to Faith, who is also on this call, who's been a mentor with us and supports us in lots of different ways. So she's another person you can reach out to learn a little bit more about what it is to be in the program and what it is to work with a young person. And sometimes young people, you know, stay in the program. Sometimes they take a break, you know, but, you know, we work really hard to say that, you know, once, in our program, if you want to come back, we welcome people back in as they stop and take care of life issues or, figuring out how, to make it all work. So it's just another resource of somebody else who's been very much a part of our organization that we are greatly appreciative of.
Definitely. And thanks, Faith. I know this is the lunchtime hour, so people are eating, so we appreciate the cameras on. I'm going to make one last call for any questions or thoughts or comments. Brendan.
Sorry, I had
Hello.
a question just in regards to the timeline of the process. So if we wanted to get involved, when would a possible pairing and mentorship and timeline work this summer or something like that?
Yeah, ideally, what we do is basically, it's now taken us all year to gather our mentors. We want to try to make sure that we have a mentor set up for every single one of our new students. We are just in the process now. We interviewed prospective students on Saturday, the 29th. We will be selecting those students next week. Again, we're hoping to have 30 new students. A lot of that depends on our fundraising and how that's going. We have a big spring appeal going on right now through the end of May. So once we know what our final numbers are, we then determine how many students we can actually offer a space to. We simultaneously, obviously, as we're working with the students, we're working with the mentors. So getting somebody to fill out that form and get us to know who they are, letting us do an interview. This is the ideal time, sometime between March and really in June. And then we also will do a mentor sort of meet and greet with our students during June. So again, hopefully getting our cohort of mentors together as we're getting our cohort of students together. And then shortly after that gathering, the team here sits down and we pair people together. What's nice is that our advisors who will be working with the students, again, the whole time they're in college, will do what we call a mentor match meeting. So your first meeting with the student will be with the advisor. And so again, just warming everybody up, getting everybody comfortable and finding out, like, just as Alicia says, like, how do you like to be contacted? Do you like phone calls? Do you like text? Do you like to do Zoom? Are you local? Can we meet for coffee? Can we go for a walk? So we set all those parameters up with you and then let you take it from there. And so that happens usually in July and August before the student goes off to college. If you get paired with somebody who's already in college or a community college student, again, that student, might be in a different part of their journey of college. But again, we still do that mentor match with you. And then we, again, let you go on your merry way and get started. We do offer quarterly check-ins. Also, as Alicia was mentioning, in terms of, again, not mandatory, but we offer right now we're doing them on Zoom because it seems to be easiest for everyone to get together, but we do 45 minutes to an hour and a half conversations with mentors, just talking to each other. What's working, what's not. We remind you of what's going on during the quarter for these students, depending on where they are and what's going on. You also get about a 40-page mentor handbook. Up to you whether or not you want to read it, but it gets great tips. And it's like, oh, it's October. Your students are probably going through one of these 10 things, or here's 8 things that you can do for free in the Berkeley community that you might want to do with your mentor. Share some stories. So that's available to you, both the handbook and then also opportunities for you to talk to other mentors throughout the year.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Sherry, for giving us a little bit of the details. And sorry, Brandon, I didn't want to cut you off.
I just wanted to say thank you. That's great. Thanks.
Fantastic. Okay, last call for questions, thoughts, comments.
I have a question about, all this mentorship for 4 years through college, and what is your role for connecting your program with the WDE? That's with a lot of internships in place at the lab.
So we work with our students. Again, like I said, the advisor works with them from the day they start all the way through their degree. And one of the things that we do, obviously through our Level Up program, which is our career readiness, is that we encourage students to apply to at least 3 to 5 internships at the end of that program. But we are constantly encouraging our students to look for internships. We are also asking community to share those internships with us so we can share them with students. So if you know of an internship, have an internship, you can get in contact with us and let us know, give us the details, give us the guidelines, share the link to the application, and then we'll work with the students through that process. Many of our scholars will reach out to their mentors and just like, can you read my essay, or can I do a mock interview with you? Or again, just supporting them through that process of applying. As you saw in the video, students are going to be turned down and feel rejected. And, how do you help them through that process as well for getting them ready for the next time? So again, our goal is that our students have 2 to 3 internships while they're in college in the field of their interest, so that when they get out of college, that they can actually explain and show examples of the work that they've done in the field that they're most interested in.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. And Sherry, thanks for that information. I'm actually going to drop a link into the chat right now. I may have shared this with you before, but in case you haven't seen it, this is a link to the post-secondary internship opportunities we have at Berkeley Lab. Some are offered directly through the Department of Energy as a national lab. We participate in that. And then we also have internships specific to Berkeley Lab as well. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We can connect you with Colette Flood, who leads the lab's Workforce Development Education Office. And again, all great questions. Do folks have any others?
I have one last question.
Of course, yeah.
When I joined a little bit late. And so how does the program prepare mentor?
So good question. So there's a mentor application on our website that gives you, general information of what's going on and, how to apply. We then do, as Savannah said, a 45-minute to an hour, I would say conversation. Some people might feel like it's an interview, but really it's just us getting to know you. What do you want out of this opportunity? What do you think a mentor is? How do you see yourself sort of forming this role? We ask the students that same thing. Most of the students have no idea what it is to have a mentor, and what's an advisor and what's a mentor and teacher and all those different things. Again, the new experiences for first generation students. We then again provide you, like I said, a mentor handbook, but we also do a 2-hour mentor orientation, and again answer lots of questions, go through all the ups and downs, get you set up for your first meeting. And then again, like I said, we do the very first meeting with you and your mentee, which would be our scholar. And if you have questions along the way, frustrations along the way, celebrations along the way, you can share that with the advisor who is working with your student, who we will always be able to have contact with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much again to Savannah and to Sherry for joining us this afternoon, to Alicia for sharing her experiences with this group. I think it's a really wonderful opportunity to get engaged with students here in Berkeley. And so thanks again for the great presentation and for joining us today. Before we sign off, I do want to remind folks that they can visit the lab's volunteer portal at service.lbl.gov to learn about this opportunity and other opportunities to engage in the community. And if you have any questions or follow-up for BCS, don't hesitate to let me or Jocelyn know. We can connect with Sherry and Savannah after this. And I do also want to say, if you have suggestions for other organizations we could consider featuring in these sessions, please let us know. And with that, I just want to say thanks again to everybody and hope everybody has a good rest of the afternoon.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks so much.